made sense. All they required, like the surveys of English literature and so forth, and even the Latin and so forth that I had, and all these names, it just came together. And that's what I thought education was, that aspect of education.
Sometimes when you go in the library now, you see the dust cover from a book by Albert Murray hanging on the blackboard. That must be a good feeling to know that you made it. The students can go now.
I wondered if it ever, something like that would happen.
It does happen. As a matter of fact, I teach your stuff when I get the opportunity to, and usually if I'm teaching, a freshman course, I might assign, I like to teach the academic lead sheet from the Briar Patch Files.
Oh, yeah.
And I usually assign the Tuskegee section from South to a Very Old Place, which is pretty challenging for freshmen. I think in an upper level class, the hero and the blues has got to be required. The hero and blues, I think, is a kind of a definitive, complete statement about
well, that's what
aesthetics.
People to overlook that, miss something, because they have to work out a number of things themselves and they might not make it. Whereas at this point, I was really trying to pull together what my conception was, and then when I finally hit upon what was going to be my metaphor, that is my basic approach to what life is. There's a second law of thermodynamics, which adds up to the blues, the tendency of all phenomena to become random. In other words, ain't nothing, nothing.
Yeah.
So what makes it something? Metaphor.
Exactly.
Whether it's prose or whether it swings all the time like poetry. You see? Then the idea is to make the prose swing like the poetry swing. It's about writing, articulating the blues, and not the blues as a that gets confused with a torch song,
Right.
but a confrontation with the nothingness of the universe. See, in fact, in this last book we're talking about, you don't know what I mean by the blues? Go to a planetarium and sit there and look at the planetarium, and then think of the people the lies you've told the people, and they said, it don't mean a thing, because it ain't got that swing. Because swing is an elegance, and elegance is about what makes human life worth having. It's at that point, you see, some people confuse it, it's sex, it's this, it's drink, it's that, and whatnot. But I think the most legitimate one is sex. And because it's affirmative, it also is about keeping the species going. Maybe they can be taught something. You see what I mean?
I sure do.
So they say, but you go back to all the things that you're taught. You see, Mr. McCormick and these people teaching physics and so forth, they're not doing, I'm going to get the third law of thermodynamics and put it into literature. But that was, I think, of the second floor of the library, of the academic building. And I can remember Mr. Fuller's math class and Mr. McCormick's physics and the guy who was in the chemistry department and all these things. And I think this all comes together at some point. But when I was mature enough intellectual, I could see that poetry, that is the metaphor, when I said that, is what we humanize all the scientific data and give it some type of purpose. And so it's a story. If you don't get a metaphor or a story, you might as well not have it, because you're going to have, see, when there's no good story, there's always a bad story, because it's going to be a story. You see, so the whole idea of teaching English is to give them a good story, a fructifying story, an enriching story, an overreaching story that bespeaks, continuity. Is that this is worth doing, and the only thing that makes it worth doing is those moments when you get achieve, that the height of the aesthetic experience, and that's when ecstasy and all that stuff comes in. And then, because in the juke joint at that time, when somebody hits the groove and it really gets into the mood, they say, Lord, am I born to die? That means Why should this happen over and over forever?
Yeah.
You see? So